It's Sunday, April 5th, 2020. This is all about your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and week in review video. Hope you had a great week. And hopefully you're adapting to the temporary normal still. You know, we're 3 weeks in here, at least in Fishers. Only left the house a handful of times. Go to the office to get a few things, grocery shop, and that was basically about it. So hopefully you're not driving your family members crazy, they're not driving you crazy, you're enjoying the time together and hopefully forming some new family traditions and things to do as a family and becoming closer, not pushing each other further away. Let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. And as you look at the articles on the blog post, not a lot of positive things out there. And I am an optimist. I also do not want to be a liar and paint a prettier picture than what's really out there. So we've got to address what's going on. And one good thing, I guess the silver lining in that, since there is nothing but negative news right now, that means that eventually we've got to turn the corner. That, you know, the sun comes up the next day. So at the darkest, when there's no good news, that means we're getting closer to the sun rising. We still don't know how long that's going to be. And saying that it's all darkness is a bit much. You know, we're very fortunate, a lot of us, to still be able to work. And as we're going to talk about, we're seeing the unemployment and the people getting laid off rise very quickly. We do have houses, we have technology. So imagine going through this 50, 60, 70 years ago, or imagine going through this today, not having the means that some of us have. So when you want to complain, you got to think about there's people out there who are sick and actually suffering through the virus. There are people out there that don't have any money, that don't have a house. So when you want to complain, you got to remind yourselves of those things, that you are probably more fortunate than the majority of the people out there, even though what's going on right now is not fun, and just a little bit of perspective to bring things back in. So again, not a lot of good news out there. We'll address them real quick. So the first quarter ended and we had the worst quarter since 2008 for a little while before we had a couple good days. It was the worst quarter ever, but we've since bounced back. That's nothing new. You know where the stock market is. You know what's going on. You're going to get your quarterly statements if you get those, and you're going to see a negative number that you haven't seen for a number of years, 10 years plus since you've had a negative quarter statement like you're going to see in this first quarter. Hopefully you have a plan. Hopefully you understand why your investments are that way. Hopefully you have the confidence to stay with it and not deviate from the plan, because ultimately that ends up being the worst decision. It doesn't seem like it in the moment. It seems like there's got to be a better place to do, move to the sidelines, but getting back in is very hard to do. And at this point, this is not very comforting. You've ridden down this far. Even if it goes down a little bit further or stays down here for a while, you're probably going to be better off staying in so you catch that rebound when it comes. And I think that the rebound could be a couple waves. You get some good news on the coronavirus and maybe you see a bit of a recovery in the market. Then we have to work through the economic stuff, which will take some time, and then we can maybe see the market go again. Again, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. Nobody knows. But the key is you want to make sure that you stay in the market to try to make sure you catch that recovery. And money that you need in the short term hopefully was never in the market, or you've adjusted things to be able to get there. So that's the market talk. Now we get to the unemployment, which is the scary thing right now, really. So in March, there were 7,000 jobs cut by employers. But you also see the number of 6.6 million Americans seeking unemployment benefits after last week. So we have employers laying off a lot of people, and then you have a lot of people who are going to get unemployment benefits. Those could be contractors, small business owners, people who weren't laid off by larger employers, but that are now filing for unemployment. So if there's a chart out there of unemployment and it looks like this, and then it's a huge spike. It's surreal to see, but that's where we are now, and that's going to be the big thing that hangs over us for a while, is how long do people remain unemployed? When can businesses start hiring again? When can we get things rolling again? So again, that's why I think that the stock market part might be a couple waves. The coronavirus subsides, or we get some good news there, the market can recover there, and then we've got this unemployment and the slowdown of the economy globally that we've got to work through. One positive light is that the forecasters for the virus, experts are expecting in some cities that the virus is going to peak. But that also means there's many cities that they're not going to peak. So my fear is if we see numbers in New York or Detroit or some of these hot spots begin to peak and begin to come down a little bit, that the rest of the country is going to think that they're okay, when the reality of it is, it almost seems like it's kind of moving its way across. Indianapolis, where I'm at, is becoming a hot spot as well. And from just a eyeball glance, went on a couple bike rides this week. My wife went for a run. A lot of people are still not really adhering to the social distancing. Because we're outside, we think it's safer to all congregate in a driveway or on a patio and being closer than 6 feet. And to be honest with you, who knows if 6 feet is even really far enough away. So I'm afraid that we're going to see these numbers continue to rise. There is a post in the mixtape that I did this week, a video and a podcast with my friend Frank Sawyer, who's an executive at a hospital up in Detroit, just sharing what he's seeing and the concerns he has from a healthcare professional standpoint that we're not really getting from the media. We're getting the politicians, we're getting the experts, but we're not hearing from the front lines of what's really going on at the hospitals. And I've talked to him this week, and in just the week from when we recorded to this week, it's gotten even progressively faster and worse up in Detroit. So I'm hoping that with the warm weather that's coming, people still adhere to the rules. Masks are not going to be now out in the public. We're going to see those a lot more, which will hopefully be a good thing as well. But if we shut things down at this level for the economy standpoint, we might as well make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that this virus goes away. Otherwise, it's for naught. We shut things down, we put ourselves into a recession, people still don't adhere, the virus still spreads and it's high levels, and this extends longer. So take our medicine now, shut things down, slow things down, let everything pass through, get the things we need in place for the healthcare system, be working on vaccination, have some things to get us through, and then hopefully we can come out on the other side sooner rather than later. So a little bit of my thoughts in there. And then finally, small businesses are getting relief from the CARES Act that passed. The first one was the economic disaster loan, which would actually be a grant. And then Friday, the big one that small businesses are waiting for was the Paycheck Protection Plan, which was a big mess on the rollout. You had the night before the Treasury and the Small Business Association changing things up. Banks weren't ready to pull. I applied for just to see the process would be like to be able to help my small business owners and to see if it's something that I need for my business through Chase, and I got an email back saying that they would call me when they're ready for my application. So it has already started. There are funds being dispersed. There's a cap on how much is out there, and there are a lot of small businesses that are in need that may not even be able to get this yet. So I think that the aid that we're going to see from the government from the individual standpoint, the $1,200 checks, and the small business standpoint will probably have to extend and be other programs that come out in the summer if things don't get better. But small business owners have hope. It's right out there in front of them, but yet a lot of them still can't get to it. I'm hearing that the $10,000 grant that's supposed to be a 2 or 3 day turnaround is taking much longer than that. I can't imagine how hard it would be to get this out and rolling on such short terms. But at the same point, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of urgency to get things moving for those who need it most. So we'll see. But the hope is that these programs will help small businesses survive. The Paycheck program is a forgivable loan up to 2.5 times of payroll that is designed to help people pay their employees for the next 8 weeks to be able to keep them on payroll to hopefully get us through this tough time and be able to bring people back to work and not have people laid off. So a lot going on. The optimism that I see is the time with family and rebringing the family unit back to the importance in our lives. That's a positive. Another positive, again, because there's not a lot of good news in the news right now, at least from the economy standpoint. There's good stories of nurses and doctors and all of those things going on, but the news that you're reading about the economy and your markets and all those things seems to be gloomy, means that we're another day closer to that sun rising, which I think is a positive way to look at things. So I'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll have some glimmers of hope out there to bring, but I remain optimistic that we will get through this. We will be stronger. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be painful, but we come out of this hopefully closer as a country, closer as families, and ready to move forward for the long term. So that's it. Be sure to check the mixtape articles down below, some great writings, and I will see you all in the next episode.